So I'm going to quickly, my name is Lizzie Bildner. I'm a CBS 15. I also started a nonprofit loyalty program that I was running before joining CBS called Sharitive. And you are in the Innovative Revenue Models panel or session because it's really a workshop. And what we're going to be doing is using the business model canvas, which you see on the walls around the room, to workshop 4 specific revenue challenges that social entrepreneurs have. And we have an incredible set of moderators and an incredible set of social entrepreneurs for you. The way that we're going to break out is we're going to count off, essentially, by, or I'll just do it, I think count off by 1s, 2s. Actually, we'll do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you'll just go to your section of the room. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you can see up here, you have your group numbers, group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. And we have our moderators, Yael and Kate from Inspiring Capital, Kesha from Impact America, which was formerly Julia Ventures, Reim from CDVCA, myself. And then we will be working with Brian Jones and Kin Travel, Jimmy Chen and Shelley Nee and Propel, Swami from PaisaBack, and Prashant from Conscious Step. So you'll learn more about the businesses once we get into our breakout groups. If anyone has a very strong, once you get into your group and you have a very strong passion for international development or one-for-one models, you can switch. Like, we won't, chain you to your group, but we'd like you to kind of embrace a little, embrace the unknown, if you will, and just trust us that this is going to be a great panel. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Yael, who will just give us a quick introduction on the business model canvas, how you can apply it to business challenges, and then we'll break up into those groups. So again, it's 1, 2, 3, and the left side of the room is 4. Okay.
Hi, guys. So I've been trying to come up with some sort of Halloween-appropriate social venture joke. I have not come up with one. So if you have one, please find me by the end of the day because I'm like really reaching. I've been using the Al Gore inconvenient truth joke too many times. So if you have any good puns, let me know. So I'm from Inspiring Capital. I am a CBS alumna as well from the full-time program. At Inspiring Capital, we run a fellowship program for MBAs and also for women returning to the workforce. That's a training program for people who want to switch from the private sector to the social impact sector. I've got my colleague Kate here as well, so if you are especially first-year MBAs, come find us. We also will be on campus on November 12th, so quick plug for our on-campus recruiting, looking for amazing talent. So by show of hands, how many students, business school or otherwise, are in the room right now? How many students? Okay. And then how many people are practitioners in the social impact field, however you want to define that? Okay. And then raise your hand if you're something else. Okay. Handful. You don't want to admit it. It's cool. I get it. So I have been asked to introduce what the business... Can you guys hear me without the mic? Is that... No? Still have to use it? All right. See, I'm getting told all the time that I'm too loud, and apparently it doesn't even help when I need it to. So the 2 things we're going to do right now for the next few minutes is we're going to talk about why would you even bother to use a business model canvas, and then we'll talk about how to use it, because that's what you'll then be tasked to do. So... Again, show of hands. It's cold in here. We're going to get everyone warmed up a little bit. How many people have heard of lean startups, the lean startup movement, lean impact? A little bit higher. Let's see. All right. So we've got a pretty familiar crowd. So I won't go too much through it, but we'll touch on some of the highlights. So lean startups is an approach to starting a business that comes out of Silicon Valley. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but if you are CBS students and you have an opportunity to take one of the lean entrepreneurship classes, I highly recommend it. Steve Blank, who is one of the founders of the movement, does teach at CBS. And in a traditional business, people will write a business model of some sort, right? So it's like months of planning, maybe sometimes years of planning. The document can be like 15 pages, 30 pages, 50 pages. And more often than not, guess what happens once it's been written and shopped around? And by shopped around, I mean people read the first page and then flip through the rest of it. What do you think happens to that amazing, amazing business plan that you've written that's taken months of your life? Gets thrown out, or best case scenario, it sits on a shelf until you have like a strategic replan a year later, and then you take another year to redo an entire business plan. But for entrepreneurs, and I know we have a number in the room, the most scarce resource you have as an entrepreneur is time. And so the idea of using a business model canvas as opposed to a traditional business plan reflects the concept that when creating a business, your goal is not to create the perfect plan, mostly because it doesn't exist, but even if it did, it does not. Your goal is not to create the perfect plan. What you want to do when you're starting a business is you want to create enough of a plan that works before you run out of resources, right? You want to create enough of a plan that works before you run out of resources. And so, as I said, this comes out of Silicon Valley. So this was from tech developers who would have an idea and it would get funded, and the engineers would go into their building and they would spend a few months or a year creating a program, and then they would bring it out to the world and nobody wanted it, or nobody needed it, or it was obsolete by the time it came out. And so the idea is to start gathering feedback and start testing your hypothesis early and often so that you can iterate, right? I'm going to use all the business school jargon buzzwords. I hope someone's keeping count. But you can iterate and kick the tires and test your hypotheses early and often so that the things that you're right on, you know you can move forward with, and so that the things that your assumptions, your hypotheses that aren't right, you can start changing, you can pivot them. And so the idea is, again, you don't want to spend months on this perfect business plan that doesn't exist. You want to have a snapshot. So one page, one image that has different building blocks of all of your hypotheses and how they interact with each other to prevent you from having analysis paralysis so that you can actually move forward with it. And so I'm given 10 minutes now to explain to you what a business model canvas is, which is almost ironic because most business model canvases, you're told to do your first attempt in 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes, whole thing, entire snapshot. So as I said, it has 9 areas that you can think of as, building blocks, as the hypotheses or the assumptions that you want to test. And the idea is that each of these buckets are things that you're going to change, right? So it doesn't need to be perfectly phrased or in the right or perfect way. It's ideas. It's things you want to test out. I will just make a note that this tool is something that's used for-profit businesses. And so I would challenge you to keep in mind in the session that's a for-purpose session that it doesn't have things like values on it, right? It's absent, conspicuously so for those of us who think about that. And so there are some different challenges that I assume you're all going to encounter with the entrepreneurs who are trying to create real value in the world on multiple dimensions. And one of them is around that value. And so you'll run into things like higher cost structures that you'll just have to accept because it creates better value, or different value propositions, or different types of customer relationships. And so I would encourage you to embrace that kind of challenge because it's not just straightforward about getting the minimum viable product off the ground with this. So okay, how are we on time? A few minutes. So we'll run just through what each of these things are, and then I will stop talking, and you guys can actually go do this. So where should we start? I guess the first thing is customer segments, which looks like it's in the middle. And I would encourage you, if you're ever using the business model canvas as a tool, to actually do a full business model canvas for each customer segment. It'll really help you think about it. And so here it's about thinking about all of the people for whom the business is creating value, right? So who are the users? Who are the paying customers? What are the different segments? Who are the most important customer segments? Is it mass? Is it a niche product? That's what you're thinking about with customer segments. Moving to the right, we have the value proposition. So this is what are the products and services that you are offering to your customer segments. And maybe it's individual or maybe it's a bundle, but that's what the value proposition is. Why are they going to buy from you or use your service, and what's going to make them come back? What's the value proposition? Continuing to move to the right is channels. So this is the means by which you reach your customers. So it's how are your customers reached? How do they want to be reached? Is it integrated into the behaviors that they already have? How does that integrate into the rest of your model? The next one, right below customer segments, is customer relationships. And so this is asking you to think about the type of relationship that you want to establish with your customer. So is this something that they just log on online and it's self-service? Is this something where you need to be interacting with them in person on a daily basis? Is it going to be something that you co-create together? Is it automated? Is it, are you on a personal assistant one-on-one basis with them? So thinking about the relationship that you want to create with the customer and that they might want to create with you. So that's mostly on the customer side. On the infrastructure side, which is the left part of this business model canvas, we have the key resources. So which assets are necessary for building this business model? So this could be physical, it could be intellectual, things like patents or data. It could be human capital resources. It could be financial capital. Probably is a combination of all of those. The next is identifying the key activities. So what things are you going to do that are absolutely indispensable to your business model? So maybe it's something with production or the platform or problem solving, so thinking through those key activities. Key partnerships are really important because you're probably not going to do everything yourself, right? You probably don't have all of the key resources or can't execute on all of the key activities. So the partnerships are the network of suppliers or providers or partners that you're going to work with to execute on activities and get the resources that you need. Which brings us to the last two pieces, which are the revenue stream and cost structure, so the financial at the bottom. Once you understand your infrastructure, you'll have a much better sense of what your cost structure is. And then I probably should have said it earlier when I was talking about customers, but once you understand the value proposition and the means by which you're going to deliver it, you'll have a sense of what your revenue streams will look like. For today, I know we're going to mostly be focusing on revenue streams and the challenges around that. And so the rest of these are hypotheses that each of the entrepreneurs have about their business, of who they think their customers are or how they're going to reach them. And so the question will continue to be, how do each of those as levers impact the revenue streams and the challenges that they face? I think I'm good on time, so
that's great. So,
we're done.
Yeah, we are going to now break into groups. Thank you very much. You will, like Yael said, we're going to focus on the revenue component, and you'll have a business model canvas similar to what you see there, filled out with some of the information you need from the companies that you'll be working with. And without further ado, let's break out. So group 1, please come to this front section. Group 2 to the middle. Group 3 to the one by the door. And then group 4, I think you should stay in the back. Oh, yes. Sorry, questions, quickly. Yeah, exactly. Yep, I think it would be great actually to have the social entrepreneurs do that themselves. So Prashant and Jimmy and Brian and who am I missing? Swami.
What's up, guys? So, Conscious Step is a brand of ethically manufactured socks that are designed to support different causes. Each sock is partnered to a different charitable organization to raise money and awareness for that charity's primary needs. So, I'll have some socks passed around, and yeah.
Thank you. My name is Brian Jones. I'm working on a project called Kin Travel, and it is really born of how much leakage happens in travel and how much travel is sort of uniquely positioned to be a both financial resource conduit and human resource conduit for so many places in our world. So I'm working with a team of folks from the hospitality industry and design community and a very kind of amazing crew of Soho House and National Geographic and all kinds of folks to build a hotel that basically exemplifies sustainability, but is really all about investing the maximum amount of its profit into catalytic sort of social progress by creating both sort of grant loan channels as well as equity and impact investment products in that community. So please join me if you want to explore that huge mess of chaos.
Hey, my name's Jimmy Chen. I'm the founder and CEO of Propel. We are a little bit like TurboTax for the food stamp enrollment process. So we found that enrolling in food stamps across the country tends to be a pretty complicated process with a lot of steps. A lot of the official websites and forms aren't especially user-friendly. And so we're building using the TurboTax model of sort of trying to simplify that interaction to make the process a lot easier for people.
Hi, I'm Swami Ganesan. What we are working on is preventive healthcare promotion among women in India. So it's gamification of healthcare. Women earn digital points for seeking preventive care that is scheduled, and they can exchange the points for goods and services. It's like a mobile wallet that we are building with working in Madhya Pradesh and, from women between 18 to 45. Allowed to hear your inputs on that. Thank you.
So guys, we're just going to come back in, wrap up whatever your conversations are now, and we're going to go group by group and talk about the solutions we found. So maybe group one up there, Brian. You guys want to kick us off? So you can unmute all of them.
Hello? What our solution we found? Does anybody want to try to answer that? Excuse me, sorry.
Hey guys, thank you.
I don't know that we came up with a solution. We definitely threw a ton against the wall. And what's beautiful for, I think, any opportunity like this, and hopefully for others who've had the chance to stand up in front, it's just always new things. And so lucky to get feedback from so many different people, from so many different disciplines, generational sort of parts of this story. So I would say more the solution is just new ideas for us, and a lot of great challenging thinking around things that are not new, but it's always so great to hear it from a different lens, and we're all students and teachers, so I think that's what I would say as our solution.
Is there any, Brian, is there any one idea that kind of jumps out at you that you want to share? Maybe you could share more specifically the problem you were facing?
I think, the very amazing thing was that these are the customers for our project. So to learn about where they book a trip and channels that they look for, great experiences through, and also of the value propositions, what things resonate. I mean, our list didn't build too much there, but it was so much around culture and around, a very sort of human spirit component that's a big part of it for me, but really cool to hear other people use their language around it.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So moving over to group two.
Hi, everyone. I echo Brian's sentiment. Thank you so much for coming out here. One of the largest takeaway from this session for us is realizing resources that we already had, and I think that echoes like you all being here. Like, your minds are a wonderful resource, and I'm glad you guys are all here. So we're Propel. We help people sign up for food stamps, all eligible Americans. Right now, we have started in New York City, and we started applications for 240 people in New York. We've moved on to Philadelphia to prototype some more stuff, more directly with the mayor's office there. What we've been focusing, our question was largely like, how do we generate revenue by pointing people who are newly on food stamps towards grocers? Since the average benefit of food stamps per month is about $100 per month, the average length of time is 9 months. So we're giving people basically like $1,000 a year if they get on food stamps. That's a lot of money that they could potentially spend at a supermarket. Our group helped us understand that it wasn't just this money that people were getting, it was their consumption patterns of food that would be really useful for brands to understand. Being able to correlate, like, if people are buying healthier food and how that improves their health could potentially be very important for insurers to understand as well. So we're pretty excited about how we could get more data from our customers and present it to partners in a more meaningful and valuable way.
Great, thank you. Group 3.
So our team, we're PaisaBack, and Swami covered initially what we do, but basically this is a mobile-based platform focused on pulling women in India into the healthcare system through incentives. So we had a really interesting discussion. There was a lot of active involvement and a lot of great ideas. I think what was encouraging was that at the end, there was a question that was posed around, do you think this business is a go or a no-go? And it seemed like most people felt that, it was a go, but that there was still a lot of uncertainty around what the optimal revenue model is and what the revenue needs to look like. There was a lot of discussion around kind of who are the key customers and what's the value proposition to them before we talked about revenue models in detail. So there was sort of agreement around, going after women 18 to 45, focusing on sort of malnutrition, anemia, all of that sort of made sense. And then, looking at incentive providers. But then when it came to the revenue model, our initial assumption was that mobile providers was sort of the way to go there. I think a lot of great ideas came up around other partners and sort of other ways to attract revenue and sort of make the business sustainable. So just a couple of specifics. Micro insurance companies came up as a possible idea, which we thought was really interesting, including public hospitals and sort of government sponsorships. Working with educational organizations came up as well, and sort of finding ways to partner with people that provide school supplies and making it work that way, as well as sort of pharma companies. If we are going after anemia and nutrition, there are companies that provide supplements, and so sort of partnering that way and getting revenue through those types of partnerships. I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Great, thank you guys. Last but not least.
Nice. So what we proposed was a subscription model, and to give a little feedback on it, we said 86% of our customers are between ages 20 to 40, 66% claim to purchase for a good cause, 86% claim to donate regularly, 52% claim to buy more than one pair, but simply to just work to find ways we could generate more revenue. So what we came up with was, am I talking? What we came up with was nonprofit business development would be a very good key resource. So working with not only the marketing or the partnership development teams, but just generally the whole business development to get on the front page of their website, to be more accessible through different channels of the nonprofits. Our key partners are obviously nonprofits, including UNAIDS, Room to Read, Action Against Hunger, and Trees for the Future. So we were trying to dive a bit more into the gift donation strategy, ways to appeal to be more of a holiday gift. If you guys step outside later, we have some cute gift boxes. Nonetheless, customer segments we spoke about. We're approaching new segments, so not necessarily driving home the charity aspect of our business, but more of the fashion side. I think a lot of people who buy will generally buy because our socks are really good looking, and more so to even approach people in an athletic and an activity trend as more so instead of just a business fashion, to expand in those senses and get feedback. Women tend to be more inspired to wear socks, and you guys could please tell me if it's in their day-to-day activity use as opposed to hidden under their pants or leggings or I don't know. And So yeah, and to go back, a major component as a value proposition was cross-promotion through these charity networks. So a lot of these charities have over 100,000 backers, and they promote to them to buy our product. And in the sense, what other ways can we reach these customers as a value proposition, not just through the charity aspect? So we really did focus on driving home the fashion aspect and really reaching out to different sort of, being a fashionable item, whether it be like a GQ trend or just driving home the fashion sense, essentially. And our current channels are mostly online and markets. We've been pretty limited in inventory, so we like to talk to our customers a lot to see why they're buying our product. So there's been a lot of value in selling at markets to see, what's really driving this home. And according to our initial survey, 66% said they purchased for a good cause. And online allows us to tell our story a lot better, but what they proposed was hitting obvious retailers like Amazon and eBay just to get brand awareness out there. A big part of the retail model was just significantly lower margins and not being able to be a sustainable retail company because a lot of our profits do go back to charity. So trying to overcome that boundary and maybe raise our margins a bit. And revenue streams, like I mentioned, we're thinking about launching subscriptions so people who back UNAIDS, who back Action Against Hunger passionately, can get new socks in the mail every season to keep up to date with fashion trends, but even more so support the causes they love. And yeah, I think that's it.
So we have a few minutes for any, burning questions if anyone has them, or if not, we can just kind of break out. Yeah.
Is there anywhere we can see these segments on like a sheet of paper or a website?
Are you asking for the brainstorms?
No, like the categories. You use the tool.
Yep. So the business model canvas, you want a template of that. Yep, absolutely. So we can, I can try to get it uploaded on our website, but also if you just Google business model canvas, it's widely available, and there's actually tutorials all over the place as well. Any other burning questions? Great. Well, I just wanted to thank you all for coming. Thank you to our moderators. Thank you to our social entrepreneurs. This has been awesome. And thank you to all of our participants for your ideas.